And we're back again. So, let's see, what else can we talk about today? I came across something in the news the other day that kind of was really interesting. Anyone that knows me well, at least, knows that I'm a big fan of the band Marillion. And I know everyone's there, who, Marillion, which is fine. Marillion, they've been around for a long time. What I saw in the news, though, was about one of the songs they wrote many years ago called Estonia. The article was about the ferry, the Estonia, that I got to remember the night, September 28th, 1994, sank in the Baltic, and there were over 850 people dead because many were asleep in their cabins. And the thought at the time was the back hatch of this ferry, this very large ferry, didn't close, and during a storm, water came in, capsized, sank. Where the Marillion connection came in is that I usually on my birthday, if they're traveling or touring, I go see them. So I went to Estonia to see Marillion play for the first time the song Estonia in Tallinn, Estonia. And I got talking to people there, and to this day, this was a few years ago, but to this day, it is still a disaster that a lot of people have difficulty talking about. I was talking with a bartender at a local local restaurant by my hotel, and he said, "Don't bring that up. Don't bring Estonia," because he knew I was there to see Marillion, and I said, "Yeah, I want to hear them play the song Estonia." And he said, "Just don't bring that up," because that's still a sore spot. Well, the news has said that potentially something else happened with Estonia. Don't know yet what it was, but they found a big 4-meter hole in its side. So now the question is, what caused that 4-meter hole when they've all, for years now, have thought it was water coming in, through a back hatch on the ferry that didn't close. So it's rather interesting. I'm hoping that they find out, because obviously for a lot of people in Tallinn, it's still a sore spot, and now it could open up wounds again, as to what really happened. I'm hoping that it's nothing terrible, for an already terrible situation. But it got me thinking of, when I read that about Estonia and Marillion, and for the record, when they did play that song, Steve Hogarth, the singer, told us about how the song came about, and that he met someone who survived and was talking to them about, the disastrous situation. It really struck Steve, right to his heart, and that's how he wrote the lyrics for the song. And it was quite an emotional moment for people in Thailand at the concert when the song ended. Through the whole song, you could hear a pin drop in this concert hall, and then when it ended, it was, I swear, not a dry eye in the place. It was incredible. That's a feeling and an experience I'll be carrying for the rest of my life, and how much these disasters really affects people. This was 1994, and 20 years later, it was as though it happened the day before. And so that was a rather interesting item for me to read, and I hope they really do find out what caused this, and give some peace of mind to all the people that were affected, from the disaster. So that was my story about the Estonia disaster and what I read in the paper recently. And like I said, I hope they find the true cause of what caused that 4-meter gash, and can help a lot of people, come to terms with that situation. So what else there is I had so many notes here with pages to talk about. I know with COVID-19, we're over 1 million deaths now. When I first started writing my notes, we were just below 1 million, and now we're over, I think it's 1,055,000 or something like that. And 36, almost 36 million cases worldwide. And with no sign of numbers coming down right now, not with places like the UK, parts of the UK are going back down in lockdown, it seems. And Madrid, I think it's Madrid in Spain that's going through lockdown, and a few other spots are having big problems, unfortunately. And I think it's part of fatigue has set in. People are a little tired of having to stay inside or wear a mask, or once you get used to something, it doesn't phase you anymore. And I guess what's happening is, nothing's happened to me, so I'm okay. I don't have to wear a mask, or I don't have to social distance, or I can go anywhere I want to go. And that's not going to happen. That just can't happen. That's why we're seeing numbers here in Ontario where we are. Our numbers are going up, 600 plus cases a day, for the last week or so. And, when you see those kind of numbers, that means the other number, the number of deaths, is going to go up. And, one person is too many, let alone a few thousand. In Canada, I think we're at, 10,000 mark now. And, that's 10,000 too many, and the 1,055,000 is too many, unfortunate. So we really need to change the way our behavior, I've said it before on the show, and I know we've seen it in news articles, live news, in print, social media. There was a big pushback when we had seatbelts. I still remember when seatbelts were optional, I guess you can say. Excuse me. And, it wasn't mandatory.
Hey, how's it going?
Good. How are you?
Hey, how are you?
Oh, good. Looks like the tech support's kicking off, as always.
Yep.
Ooh.
It's been a day.
Yeah.
Huh? I think somebody doesn't have me on mute. There we go. I think my tech support guy was having a conversation there. Oh, well. So what was I saying? Oh, seatbelts. Yes. I still remember the day when, you get into a car and you didn't always put your seatbelt on. Now I can't imagine getting in a car without a seatbelt. It's just learned behavior, right? It's safe wearing a seatbelt, so why would I do anything else? So that's what's kind of happening now, I think, with regards to some of the COVID stuff, social distance, and staying within your bubble. And unfortunately, I think a lot of people understood bubble to mean everybody I knew. If I know these 50 people, well, they're all a part of my bubble. No, if they're only your bubble, if you're around them all the time. My bubble is rather small. I have one neighbor, two neighbors that I see, but we socially distance, all the time. We're not close, by standing close to each other. My best friend and his niece, his girls, who I call my nieces, and the rest of my family lives 1,000 miles away, or kilometers away, I should say. So my bubble is rather small. I won't go to restaurants. If you listen to my talk with James Green earlier, it's been restaurant. I haven't been in a restaurant since mid March, when the lockdown really occurred here. And I'm not in a rush to go back because with mild bronchitis, I can be affected by dog dander, cat dander. Sometimes extreme heat, on those hot days bothers me. Sometimes on um, cold days, it'll bother me, but not very often. But I don't want to be going somewhere that has any chance of setting off mild bronchitis, because mild bronchitis will probably open me up. It's bad enough when I have trouble breathing. Not major trouble, but some trouble breathing with mild bronchitis, and having COVID-19 on that. No, 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 no. That's just going to be deadly for me. So my bubble is rather small, and like I said, I think some people thought that their bubble includes every single person they know. No, that's not what it should be. So anytime I go anywhere, I wear a mask. Of course, which what we're supposed to do anyway. Going into stores and shopping and whatever the case may be. I take mine with me when I'm walking the dog, and I'm in a field, nobody's around. That's fine, but there's still a mask in my pocket, because if someone else comes along with their dog, lets their dog run free, and our dogs are interacting, and they don't get along, or for whatever the case, or they get along too well, and I still have to pull them apart for whatever reason, then I'm going to be in contact with that other person who's going to be reaching down for their dog too. So I still have my mask wherever I go, just in case. And you just have to get used to that. And I know a lot of people don't want to get used to that, but you're really setting yourself up, and sometimes it's not what that's protecting you, it's who you're protecting. You can protect your kids, or your mother, or your grandfather, whatever the case may be. You could be protecting them from getting sick. You know, um, and that's the way you got to look at it. Not wearing it, it's being, to me, I think, is being selfish. You know, um, anyone that gets in my car, you got to wear your seatbelt. I don't care. It's these days most people will do it anyway, but and you don't have to ask or say anything. But if I've got people in my car, not that I do anymore right now, but when I do, it's does everyone put their seatbelt on? I ask, because I'm responsible for them in my car. I can't go speeding down the highway, breaking laws and racing other cars. I'm responsible now for this, one, two, or three people in my car. I'm responsible for them, and that's the same thing like wearing a mask. You're responsible now, and you have to be. So hopefully, at some point, people will change, and start to do these kind of things. I think majority of people will. There's quite a few that say it's infringing on their rights. Well, no. Does that mean you're not going to wear a seatbelt? Because that's the same argument used ages ago. Decades ago, when seatbelts were made law. So, I don't think that people should look at it that way. If we all do our part, then we can get through this, right? If we all wear a mask, so, but we'll see what happens. There are other things in the news, like we have potential war breaking out in Middle East area, Azerbaijan, Armenia, and Turkey, which shot down an Armenian jet. Who knows what's going to happen there, because there's multiple disasters. They've got war, COVID-19. You've got displacement of people, and the people leaving, because of the fighting and things like that. How do agencies deal with this? Red Cross and some of the, Red Crescent, and some of the Salvation Army, some of the other groups that are out there, Doctors Without Borders, all these different groups. How do they manage, because they all have to work under the restrictions of COVID as well. How are they going to, be able to help these people effectively, during this COVID time? it's going to be tough. You know, it's going to be very tough. If you like that video, thumbs up. If you didn't like that video, thumbs down. But leave me a message and let me know your thoughts. Of course, don't forget to subscribe. And in the meantime, stay prepared, everybody.